So you'll see a little note that pops up on your screen. You can just say yes. All right. Once again, thank you for attending today's webinar. The Employee Assistance Program is happy to partner with your Plan for Health and Virgin Pulse to bring you this Getting Back to Better series, which focuses on learning healthier habits to help us all adjust to working in a non-quarantine work world. Once again, my name is Helka Casey, and I am one of your internal OSU Employee Assistance Program counselors. So just wanted to let you know that we're doing that with, again, our healthy habits. It's very exciting. The cool thing is you can track your healthy habits with Virgin Pulse and get up to 45 points a day, 15 points per healthy habit. So get up on there, get it on your iPhones or your little googly phones and start tracking your habits. Okay. So welcome back, literally. For each of us, depending on our roles, departments, and production needs, the transition back to the non-quarantine work world may look a little different for all of us in regards to timelines, deployment, possible hybrid work, remote work, or we're back on site. So today we'll provide you some skills to learn how to ask yourself what your needs may be during this transition. So once again, we're going to talk about getting back to better and learn a little bit how we respond to change in our personal transitions. Then we're going to focus on some strategies specifically for the transition and learning to identify what we need. And with that, we'll practice that healthy habit that you can start tracking with Virgin Pulse today. So getting back to better. Let me just tell you what this means, okay? Most of us are in the process of returning to campus post-quarantine. So back in the day, I've been a therapist for about 14 years, and I facilitated a partial hospitalization program. And my client said to me in group, said, I don't want to get back to normal. And we're all like, why not? You want to get back to your normal functioning? And he said, no, I want to get back to better. Because if I got back to where I was, I'd be here today. I don't want to get back here. I want to take everything I've learned during this time and get back to my life with the skills and the knowledge and the experience that I have, so I don't get back to where I was. So that's where I'm kind of coming with you with that getting back to better. We continue, by the way, to endure the ripple effect of the pandemic in all aspects of our lives. We've experienced loss, grief, and worry together. And on the other side, we've experienced some autonomy, clear vision of our individual values, and agility. This past year and a half has definitely got us to practice that agility muscle. And we've dealt with more than a year of uncertainty, and all we want to do is quote unquote get back to normal. But much like my client, what does that mean? What about our pre-pandemic lives do we really want to get back to? And what do we want to take from our time working in quarantine and transfer with us as we get back to better? So that's it. We want to keep and utilize all the experiences, knowledge, my mad Zoom skills that we learned from 2020 and even 2021 and get back to better. As a university and medical center communities, we want to continue enhancing how we approach work, communication, and connection based on our collective successes and lessons learned during the pandemic. So I'm going to read you some fun quotes here, and this is specifically about the transition. Change is situational. Transition, on the other hand, is psychological and also personal. It's not those events, but rather the inner reorientation or self-redefinition that you have to go through in order to incorporate any of those changes into your life. Without a transition, a change is just a rearrangement of the furniture. Unless transition happens, the change won't work because it doesn't take. This was by William Bridges. He wrote a wonderful book, which I'll introduce you to, Managing Transitions. We love the Bridges transition model. It really does help us kind of explain some things. And another thing to remember for all of us, and please note, I have shared this with managers, so not to worry. It's always the first question that comes from people. But the fundamental response to change is not logical, it's emotional. So even when my boss, please note, I've been back on campus since June. When my boss said, well, we need to finalize who's going to be in the office because we need someone on site 5 days a week. My first response wasn't, Oh, that sounds like a very smart idea. So we can make sure we serve our population. It was immediately met with, what? I'm a little nervous. I'm a little anxious, because that first suggestion of change, I had an emotional response. I'm sure a lot of you have as well. So talking about bridges, I would just want to share a little bit with you so you understand kind of how to look at how we as people respond to change. So Bridges' transitional model is pretty interesting. That the first stage is just accepting that there's an end, that we've experienced some loss, okay? And we have. We experienced this when we transitioned, for some of us, to work from home, and for others who had to stay on site with half their teams gone, or WEX Med staff, they just had to stay on site, right? We experienced loss, a loss of the tried and true, a loss of comfort, okay? And some of us have lost some staff members. Some have left willingly and some not so willingly. It happens when we have these big types of changes. Then we get into this neutral zone. This is that interesting place where we're just kind of not connected to the past. We can't really envision the future, and we feel kind of lost. We kind of can experience some feelings of confusion, a little apathy. We don't really care. It's kind of, ugh, whatever. I know I'm right between stage 2 and 3 myself, because I'm losing my energy. I didn't get my presentation for today done until this morning. That is not how Helka rolls. Helka usually gets her stuff done a week or two before. So I can even tell I'm kind of in this neutral zone of change. And then we move to stage 3. That's the new beginnings. That's where we've got buy-in. We can kind of see the change that's happening. We're like, all right, we're back on campus, or I'm doing hybrid, or I'm doing full time. I get this. I've been able to accept life post-quarantine. That's where we want to get to. Each one of us goes through these stages of change very differently, and we go at our own pace. So that's really important for you to give yourself some grace and ask yourself, maybe, where am I in this phase of change? Just maybe specifically in regards to returning to campus, returning to the campus office, whatever that might be for you. And kind of ask yourself, if you want to learn more about this, literally Google Bridges Transitional Model, and you will find a lot of interesting information that can kind of help give you the words to maybe what you're experiencing right now through some of these phases of change. So that's kind of important. And I know there's some concern about going back to the office atmosphere, maybe feeling more rigid with expectations of time, kind of like be where you're supposed to be mentality. Maybe you're fearing that you're going to lose some of your autonomy from working in a hybrid type world. There's a lot of that concern of losing things. I'm also going to charge you to kind of look at some of the gain. What are you gaining too by going through this transition? A lot of times the brain likes to focus on the negative. That's what we do. It's a lovely design flaw. It used to really help us out when we were looking outside of the cave and we saw the saber-toothed tiger. We knew to not go left because that's where we saw it. Now, it doesn't really help us as much. So we have to really work to get more accurate. So just consider that as we go through these next couple of slides. So here are the strategies for transition, okay? Number 1 is communication. I keep saying this across the university, doesn't matter where, even past university lines, is communication lends itself to inclusion. I feel included when my manager lets me know what's going on, or some of the whys in why she wanted us to be here, at least have one representative of the EAP being on site at Ackerman 1 day a week. That helped me kind of understand. I don't necessarily have to agree, but it helps me understand, and it helps me kind of buy into that decision, and it lends myself to feeling included, and I'm going to probably comply a lot better. Additionally, consistent, frequent communication from our leaders to ourselves and our coworkers really is valuable in periods of change and transition. I know for the past year, we were always like, oh, it's another 2 weeks. It's another 2 weeks. And we'd go to our leadership and say, so when are we coming back? right? And they'd be like, I don't know. Even saying the I don't know can be helpful. You don't have to have an answer all the time as a manager. Sometimes they don't. But giving us that information can be really helpful. And staff need to share what they need and some of their concerns with their supervisors, coworkers, and even our family and household members. Share if you have safety concerns with your supervisor so you can explore some reasonable workarounds and accommodations for your comfort and safety. And for example, when I returned, I initially wanted to keep doing virtual sessions for a while. So I let my supervisor know that because that's where I felt safe. So it was a good point to have that communication. And then considerations. Is my sound going out? Somebody just asked, just checking. Everybody hearing me okay? Could I get some thumbs up? No issues. Thanks, Roxanne. Thanks, Diane. Boom. Sorry, it looks like it might be your own. I'm so sorry. At least there's going to be a recording and you can check back later. So considerations. How ideal is your schedule? How your ideal schedule may impact yourself, your team, your customer base, whether that's student facing, I'm staff facing, how that looks to your stakeholders. Just try to be considerate, but also asking, your family. If you get a choice or if you get to talk about your ideal setting, maybe that's something you need to work out. So that's something we need to do. There's a shift. When we went home, we had to think about ourselves and our families and keep ourselves safe. Now, when we go back, it's not just my ideal schedule that's going to work and be fabulous. I also need to consider my team and my team dynamics and workflow. What can we do to adjust and improve that? Now, routines. If you have a less neurodivergent brain, I'm not speaking about myself. And if you have routines, when you make this transition back, whether it's back to hybrid, whether it's back to the office full time, or if you're staying remote, maintain your routines. If you can maintain like your morning routine and your afternoon/evening routine, that gives you some stability with all the other change and transition through your day. So I still wake up, make my breakfast, and now I haul my butt onto 3:15 and I get here. So it's a little bit different, but I still keep that morning routine I had during quarantine. And that has really helped me transition. We gave you the same recommendation when we went from work to remote. So that does help you give a sense of stability. Additionally, give yourself some time to adjust. We call it workplace stamina. Basically, it takes energy to get up, to get ready, to drive in, find parking, good gravy. For those of you who have to take the shuttle, I feel for you. And just kind of getting that energy level of being around people again and being a little bit more on in the office, that can take some time. I usually tell people, give yourself about 2 weeks to get yourself adjusted to that new rhythm and transition, because you may feel a little fatigued there for a little bit. And then transfer environmental comfort elements. Helga, what the heck does that mean? So in particular, if there's a particular picture or lighting that you really liked, or aromatherapy or a scent from home or from where you felt good, bring that with you. As many of you know, I have an issue with Funko Pops. So my Funko Pops came with me because they make me happy. Hey, Brutus, how you doing? We're okay. So that actually helps as well. I also, luckily, a med center, we get Bravo points. I bought myself a little speaker from a Bravo point so I can listen to my meditation music in my office because it helps me feel a little calm, helped with the transition. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And then also, we're at the AP, we're going to talk a lot about self-care, right? I really do mean this. If there's some activities that you did during quarantine that was really helpful to rejuvenate your energy throughout your day, like possibly going for a 15, 20-minute walk on your lunch break, see if you can carry that over and make time in your workday in order to do some of those things. That's really important. Or just a 5-minute meditation, put a break on your calendar and donate that to your time. Those of you who used to join me on Buckeye Break on Fridays at 3, I've asked all of you, give yourself a half hour at 3 o'clock at some point on Fridays or at some point during the work week, so you have that time to collect yourself and do what you need to do for your self-care. And then the self-check-in, which I'll get to in a minute, that's tied to your healthy habit. So once again, self-care basics, assess your needs. Do you need physical, emotional, social? Do you need more spiritual, internal support? Wherever you need that, think about what you need and then schedule it. Oh, I just said that, didn't I? Yes, we schedule everything else. Just like you coming today, this is part of your self-care. So you scheduled it, you're here, good for you. For those of you who aren't, it's recorded, you're making time to see it, awesome. Prioritize, you are important and everybody needs to know that. Set your boundaries, whether that's with time or giving yourself permission to say no, gotta take care of me before I take care of you. Do that. And much like physical activity, where you can break a 30-minute exercise into 10 minutes throughout the day, the same is with self-care. If you can just do a little bit throughout the day for you, you're going to reap the benefits. Now let's get back to that self-check-in. That's what we want you doing, especially during this transition. Of course, this is stuff I do all the time because I'm constantly in my brain self-aware, but I'm a therapist, I have to be. This, though, is a great practice for those of us going through some change, especially as we get our boots back on the ground. Ask yourself, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? And most importantly, what do I need in this moment? So let's go to what am I feeling? So there's, you see all my feeling words, there's more than happy, mad, or sad. And that's what I want you to do. Don't stop at happy, mad, or sad. Don't stop at the canned words of I feel stressed or I'm just down. Go beyond that and really ask yourself, what am I really feeling? Now, please note, we can feel multiple things at one time. So maybe that's what it is. It's like, oh my God, I'm feeling really stressed. Then you ask yourself, okay, what else am I feeling? I'm feeling overwhelmed. What's overwhelming me? I think it's I either have an expectation or I feel there's an expectation for me to get all of this done in my hours at this time. And that's what's making me feel anxious because I don't want to not do my job well. See how different that is from going from I feel stressed. When we break it down and just keep asking ourselves those things, it's really helpful. If you struggle trying to figure out what your feelings are, Google feeling words. I'm telling you, the Googs is great. Literally do that. Look for a list of feeling words and see what resonates with you and what doesn't. Now, the key to do next is when you do ask yourself what you're feeling, do not judge yourself, okay? Leave that to the professionals. Do not judge yourself. A feeling is just a feeling. Feelings aren't always fact. It just clues you into some of your emotional world. So if you're feeling something like jealous, we love to judge that one, right? Feeling jealous is wrong. No, it's not. There's no right or wrong emotion. It is what it is. Ask yourself, is this feeling or emotion pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant? And if it's unpleasant, ask yourself, what can I do about this right now? And then you use your coping skills, right? You can use your positive self-talk. You can use your social support system and talk to some peeps, or you can redirect your behavior, which means basically distraction. Go work on a spreadsheet. Go watch some Netflix if you're at home. It's okay. It doesn't mean we're avoiding the feeling. We're processing through it. Remember, feelings are not necessarily facts and they come and go like waves on the sand. Hold on a minute, there's going to be another feeling. So that's a big one I want you guys to get. Next is, what am I thinking? So this is really about awareness and developing more of an accurate or growth mindset. The first question to ask yourself is, when you ask yourself is, what am I thinking? By asking yourself that, you start to become more aware of everything that's happening around you and inside of your head and connecting it all to your emotions. So when you ask yourself what your thoughts are, it's helpful sometimes if you're just new to this to have a pen and paper down so you can kind of put it in some order, but that's okay. Just an idea of starting to open up and be more conscious of what's going on in your mind so you can see how that influences perhaps your emotions and behaviors can really be helpful. There might be some things going on for you. Let's say, what am I thinking? Does it ever get any easier? Maybe ask yourself instead, how can I make better choices that do not cause me as much stress? So maybe it's getting into work 10 minutes early so you can sit down and see things. Maybe that's it. Sometimes we love doing the whys. Why am I acting like this? Why does this always happen to me? Maybe ask, what about this task causes me concern or worry? Okay. And then, oh, the one we're getting a lot. Why do I even have to work in the office? I worked for a year and a half at home. I did fine. Instead, ask yourself, maybe, what are the benefits of working on site? And what are the costs? Basically, if we can move to a why place, why in this instance, when we're talking about ourselves, why happened in the past? And yes, sometimes there's some knowledge we can get from why, don't get me wrong, but why isn't really all that actionable, right? It's not in the moment because it happened in the past. But if I can ask what and how, what am I feeling? What can I do? How can I go about it? That puts the power back for me. I'm empowered. It's within my realm that I can do something because the past is done. Yes, it can give me some insight. It just doesn't always motivate behavior. And what happens is in that thinking part, that's where we can get stuck. So this might be something good for you while you're going through some of this transition. Change your whys to what and how, and it will get you in a very different place to help yourself through the change. I had mentioned growth mindset before. So Carol Dweck, she did a lot of research in the mindsets, and she wrote a book, Mindset, The New Psychology of Success, just to let you know. When people have a growth mindset, they're not afraid to try, to push themselves beyond their perceived limits, and that they're undeterred by perceived failures. Instead, they put themselves out there knowing that when they are out there outside of their comfort zone, they're actually learning, growing, and developing themselves. To be quite frank with you, when we started all this, I did not know WebEx. I didn't know Zoom. I felt very insecure. It is what it is. So that's really important to know. So because of our anticipatory or predictive anxiety, that's a little foreshadowing. We're going to be doing an anxiety series in September. That anticipatory anxiety of how it's going to be like when we transition back or what's going to happen next, that can really mess with us inside of doing that growth mindset. So could we possibly look at this transition through the lens of a growth mindset and be like, you know what? My office is going to try this out. I'm going to get more information than I had before about this transition while I'm in it. Look at the opportunity for learning, for growth, and just to try to flex that agility muscle. Please note, we do have an e-learning module at Buckeye Learn. It's called Growing Towards Resilience. Check it out. It's kind of nice. So here's the thing I want you to start working on, okay? This is the healthy habit. Asking yourself, what do I need in this moment? Clearly, this one's about work. First thing we know, we need survival, right? We know this is a basic need. This includes the need just to have a job, a salary that pays the bills, and a sense of financial independence. Next, we need safety and security. So when we have the jobs, we need to know that they're secure, right? I know there's unfortunately been, some of us have lost staff and coworkers, even supervisors during the last year and a half. That can feel like a little threatening, can it, to our jobs? There's been a lot of change we've been going through. I don't even want to mention work days, so I'm not. That was nice. So maybe asking yourself, what do I need to feel more secure in my job? You know, maybe it's one-on-one meetings with your boss, making sure that your projects align with the bigger vision and the goals, making sure that your talents are helpful or how you could grow your talents and other education opportunities. It's getting more into the what and how. What do I need? We also need belonging. People need to feel like they're part of the team, that they're part of something bigger. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I joined Ohio State. I like this. I like giving back to my alma mater and giving back to staff. And as employees, humans need to know their individual contributions are valued. So ask yourself, what do I need to do to feel connected by my team and my organization? And then also, how do I like to be acknowledged? For me, that whole Bravo system I was talking to you about, LexMed, I love that. I love when I get Bravos sent to me, whether they got points or not, because somebody gave me an acknowledgement that I helped. That means something to me. That's the kind of praise I like. Ask yourself, how do you need to be acknowledged in the workplace? Some people don't like that. So when you can learn that about yourself, you can share that with your manager and you can share that with your team and what feeds you. Also, we like to feel important, right? We have esteem needs. So ask yourself, do I feel valued and important in my position and task? And ask yourself, how do you want that? And then the creme de la creme is self-actualization. Most employees have some level of ambition and want to achieve more than where they're currently positioned. It's okay, we got the career roadmaps, they're back on track, guys. We're gonna get that. And we want to have opportunities to learn and grow in our positions or grow outside of them. So ask yourself, what do I need to feel like I've achieved what I want at this stage of my career? Or maybe ask what I need to do in order for that. And the key first is to focus on what's within your control and what's within your influence. And then go out maybe to the team and your supervisors and getting those other supports. And one of the best strategies to use with this change is focusing on you and what you have control over. Because if we start going and I don't like this policy and oh my God, I got to wear a mask and oh this and all this other stuff, we don't have as much control and influence on these bigger things, but we do in our own work world and in ourselves. So focus on that for now. Don't forget the other stuff, it's important too. And then look at life, look at what you've got at home, look at what you have at work as what you get to do. We are very much focused in that negative space, remember the brain design flaw, of what we don't get to do or what we have to do. And we have to sometimes remind ourselves what we get to do. Like for me, I get to do this presentation. These are fun for me. I do like them. So look at the get tos in your work world and your home world to get a more accurate view and balance in what you're doing. So once again, your healthy habit is that self-check. Have you asked yourself what you need at least once today? And your healthy habits, just to get you familiarized when you go on there, just look them up. You can browse them all, do a search for this one, and you're going to find it. I'm going to flash forward these. And I'm going to let you know about the EAP. We're here for you. We got your 5 free sessions per issue, per rolling calendar year. Just give us a call or email us at eap@osumc.edu. And I thank you all for being here. I am going to stop recording and then we can open it up for questions and comments. One moment, stop recording.